Burnout's a real thing. I mean, I've been right on the edge. All right, I've been extra crispy a little bit in my life, but I don't like to admit it. I mean, I tried to line things up, tried to be strategic. I tried to see where things were gonna go before they got there so that I could always be 2 steps ahead, because if I'm 2 steps ahead, I don't have to waste any time. But then something would go drastically wrong, like, my purse wouldn't be where I left it, or one of the kids would need attention. And that's when I realized I was a little fried, because it shouldn't be something that easy that fries me. So if you've been a little bit overwhelmed, you can go over it and you're ready to overcome it, I've got a friend here today who's gonna talk about being overwhelmed and getting out of the depths of that drowning sea and actually living again, breathing again, enjoying life again. My friend Liz Sarno is here, and she's a boss babe, really. She helps pastor Relevant Church in Daytona. She is the administrator of an academy, a preschool academy. She started this thing from the ground up, y'all. And she's a mom, she's a wife, she's an author. She does everything. And today, you're gonna get all up in the business of her burnout, because you are going from over it to overcoming it. Sometimes what seems like the end is really the beginning. I'm gonna take you behind the curtain of my life, and my friends are gonna tell their stories too. I thought my life was over when I got molested as a child. Then I got pregnant at 17, and my drug addict ex-husband, he held a gun to my head. But only God could give me the life that I have today, and you can have that too. We're going from the pain to the promise in a real, raw, and organic way. Are you ready? Let's go.
Fun, focused, and high capacity. I woke up. When someone tells me they don't know how to do something, because there's Google. I would take my Bible, I would take my phone, and I would take the music. I'm so sorry to my kids right now.
Well, after one of the worst breaks in history, I hope you're better at pool than I am.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of glad that we're evenly matched. We'll just say that.
So we're not gonna put any money on this game?
No, let's not. We could just go to lunch after.
What I love is that you're one of my high capacity friends. You ran into burnout, and I don't know for a fact that high capacity people run into burnout more often or faster than maybe somebody who's a little more introverted, a little bit more of a processor. Mm-hmm. But for all of my fast friends out there, you hit a wall, and sometimes you feel like Superwoman. Your plate is full, you have all these things going on.
Right.
How did you know that burnout was happening, that the overwhelmed feeling was getting to be too much? What were your first clues?
There were probably clues that I didn't recognize and signs that I didn't see.
Just push past.
You just push past.
As you look backwards, hindsight's
Right.
2020.
Right.
So as you look backwards, what do you see now that maybe you look for now so it doesn't happen again?
Yeah, I did, looking back, you can see it, that I was getting to the place where I was just emotionally kind of shut down. I kind of stopped.
What does that mean though? Like, because when people are watching this and they're like emotionally shut down, how do they know if they're emotionally shut down?
I think I basically stopped feeling. I would look at things and not have an emotional response to anything, which is good in some things, but not in others. Even when it came to my family, I noticed even with my husband not connecting as well. In my relationships with my kids, friends. I didn't have any friends at that time, and I think just being able to you just kind of become numb on the inside, I think, and you realize that you don't really feel too much of anything. And then I even noticed physically I was, exhausted, but never getting enough rest, not feeling ever, always feeling tired, that you never, just feeling like your whole body is just exhausted and done.
Did you still feel like you were succeeding, or did you start feeling like you were failing when you started knowing something's wrong here?
Yeah, that's a great question, because in the beginning, probably I felt like I was succeeding. I was like, I'm rocking this. I got this. I'm getting up every day. I'm getting up at 5 a.m. I'm cooking food for these little kids and trying to staff and doing all the stuff and, everything that I would normally do. And you think you're succeeding, but then in the end, you just look and you're like, I don't even know what day it is. Mm-hmm. So that can't be success,
Did your kids give you any clues, or did they just kind of, well, that's mom, and go with the flow?
Well, I'd always been really involved with my kids, especially like my baby daughter. She was a dancer. Mm-hmm. And for years, every night of the week, I'm at her dance practices. I'm taking her, and I would have to start making phone calls, in the afternoon and being, hey, baby, I can't take you today. And I'd hear it in her voice. She was like, oh, okay. But then that became a regular thing. I'd call and say, I can't take you. I'm so sorry. I got caught up. I started saying I got caught up with something came up. Mm-hmm. And I noticed that they started kind of resenting a little bit the fact, oh, mom's always at work. Mm. Mom's always working. Mom's always busy,
What about with your husband? I mean, Chris is sitting right over there. I'm sure he's not going to mind. We're just going to air it out in public.
I think during that season and that time, we probably weren't connecting very well. You kind of disconnect a little bit. You're going through the motions, even in your marriage.
Did he ever complain? Was he ever like, babe, like, where do I fit? Or did he notice that life got busier and the busyness didn't include him?
I don't think he ever really complained. We were in it together. So we basically had to just do what we had to do. But looking back, I can see where our relationship had started to erode in the midst of that.
The church was doing great, mm-hmm. but life on the inside
just felt stuck. I just felt like I don't even want to do this anymore.
If somebody's at home right now and they feel stuck, mm-hmm. If they feel like, I've been working so hard, or maybe they don't even know. Maybe you're killing it and you're like, I'm doing these 16-hour days, but I am doing the do. I'm living my dream. I'm living my business. What is something that they should look for, or what's something they can do to exit this road?
I think that it's important to stop for a minute, just push pause mm-hmm. from everything. Maybe maybe that person is, you're always going. Stop for a minute, go sit outside for 5 minutes, push pause and really evaluate, where am I at? What's going on with me? Am I emotionally there for my family? Am I able to do this? Am I okay myself? Mm-hmm. I think that's huge, because so often people, they don't take care of themselves, and so you're the last person that you take care of. And I think you have to stop for a minute and say, wait, am I going sideways right now? Mm-hmm. Am I a little fried right now? Am I a little overwhelmed right now? Am I just a little over it right now?
I went through burnout. And I had to, I'm going to tell you what I had to do in just a minute. Have you ever felt like you were sucker punched by life? Everything's going great, and then out of nowhere, bam, you get knocked down by somebody. You thought they loved you. Maybe you made a mistake and the consequences were really big. And if so, I can relate. I mean, my birth dad didn't want me. I was molested as a child, raped at 13, and became a pregnant, unwed mother by age 18. I felt defeated. I was trying to survive. But no matter how buried we feel in life, God has a way to help us dig out of the hole and stand on the top of the mountain with our arms raised in victory. You see, we're not meant just to survive in this life. We're meant to thrive. And that's why I wrote this book, to help you brush yourself up, stand on your feet, and move forward in your life. I want this for you so much. I want to give you my book absolutely free. When you go to freethrivebook.com right now, you get the I Will Thrive hardback book, an 11 video book club series, and 8 of my very best teachings to help you begin to thrive again. Here's what people are saying about how the book helped them.
I started reading your book at 8 o'clock this morning. I finished it at 3. You read the whole thing straight through. It was awesome.
It's an awesome book. And I think when I finish mine, I'm going to have to pass it on to somebody else. I want it back, but I got so many people that I want to read it.
Right now, go to freethrivebook.com to receive this special limited time offer. I want you to have this free book and bundle. You're not meant to survive. You're meant to thrive. So we have this segment called One Word, where I give you a word and then you tell us what it means to you. So what does overcomer mean to you?
Overcomer. Yeah, I think that I think that we all have to overcome, right? I think that that's obviously something that the Bible tells us to do, that we get to do, but it's a lot harder to do when you're in the middle of what feels unbearable, right? And even her story, you know, just incredible of, hey, you can be an overcomer. And I think when I think of that, I think of trying to carry something that's too big for you, right? And oftentimes we're thinking, okay, this is on me to overcome. Every day, it might feel like it's so heavy. You're walking through it, right? You might feel like, I don't know if I can take another step. But as you continue to press on, it didn't get easier. You just got stronger. And so day after day, just lean in and say, okay, God, I'm lifting the weight. I can overcome whatever the world throws at me. I can trust in you.
I don't like the way the game was going. No offense.
Yeah.
I like to win. I mean, who doesn't like to win the game? And so I guess with God, the opportunity is, if we don't like the way the game's going, our dad owns the ball, the bat, the cue balls, the cue stick, and we get to reset it and start over.
Yep.
How?
I think, you know, oftentimes resetting vision for me looks like, you know, God has called each and every one of us. There's a vision that we had at one point for our future, and that's why we do what we do. And, you know, whether you're a mom at home and you wanted those kids, that was your vision to have kids, or your husband, you know, maybe you're in a situation where you're over it in your marriage, but
because nobody's ever been that before.
Never. I mean, not us, of course.
No.
But
no, honey, you're great. You're great. You're great.
You're great. But I think you have to go back and go, wait a second. Reset your vision means there was a season of life where that's what you wanted, where that's what you were excited about, where that's what you were passionate about. So what happened along the way to make you kind of lose that passion? And I said, he showed me in that you have to look up, you have to look out, and you have to look in. Got to look up to him. Hey, God, you called me this. I was excited about this before. Let me clear some things out of the way, reset my vision. Then you have to look out. Why do I do what I do? If you're overwhelmed and you're over it in your job and in your life, well, why did you want to do that in the first place? What brought you to that place of this is why you do what you do? And then, you know, looking in, what changed in me? Because usually it's not the situation that changes. Usually it's something in yourself that changes, that makes you lose that passion and vision.
Well, and the Bible says to be being filled. So one of my problems was that I wasn't being filled. I was filled. I was going to church. I was listening to worship music, but I wasn't being filled. Being filled, like a consistent, every day, no matter what kind of manner. How do you find time now to rest in Him?
I think you just have to. It's a non-negotiable, because if you're empty, you can only give out as much as what's in you. If you're completely empty, then there's nothing more to give out. And I think it has to become the non-negotiable of your life that you remain continually filled in the presence of God and the Spirit of God. This morning, I was getting ready and I just put on some worship music and I was just letting the presence of God fill me right there. It doesn't have to be, oh, we have to take an hour to do no, take a minute. Put some worship music on, get in the Word for a few minutes, just meditate on the Word. Find one scripture that you can meditate on to help you remain filled. He'll fill you. Then when you pour out, you don't get to that place. You're exactly right.
I always ask myself, what three measurable things do I want to accomplish for God in my life? And it helps me to remember why I'm on the planet. What in the world am I here for? Because I am here for a reason, I am here for a purpose, and so are you. God has a plan for you.
God has placed within you the ability to be an overcomer. You are more than a conqueror. You are an overcomer in this world. Even though we get tired, even though sometimes we feel like, I don't know if I can do this anymore, you can.
I typically stop, I check in with myself and what I'm feeling, and then I ask God what He's thinking, feeling, or doing. And then I submit to His narrative.
I feel overwhelmed every day. And so whenever I feel overwhelmed, I take a moment by myself and I just try to repeat a phrase over myself. Maybe if I'm feeling like everything is chaotic at the moment, I say, I'm gonna get through this. I can choose peace in the middle of chaos. And so I declare some things over my life. Not only that, sometimes it's just good to put yourself in timeout and drink a glass of tea and trust that God's got everything together.
So I burnt out a couple of years ago. I was executive pastor at our church,
Right.
and then I was speaking every weekend. I was spending every weekend away from my husband because he was speaking in Missouri and I was speaking in Florida. And then the next week we would flip-flop. We had started an academy. I had written a book. I started a little bit of a book tour, and I was kind of like you. I didn't even realize I had gotten myself there. And there's a difference in being strong in the Lord
Yes.
and being strong for the Lord.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to take the wrong things off your plate so that God can put the right things on your plate.
Right.
So what happened? What was your notification? Like, ding, you're burnt out. You're over it. How did that happen?
I think it was a regular day. I don't think that there was anything big that had happened. I just hit my wall. I said, God, I'm over it. Something has to change right now. I can't do this anymore. And,
Crying, yelling.
I don't even think I was crying. If I remember, I just literally, I don't even think I had any tears to cry. I think I was just
So numb.
So numb. I was like, I can't. I just cannot do this anymore. It's just too much.
So if you're feeling numb inside, I really want you to pay attention right now because you might think it's strength, and that's a lie of the enemy.
Right.
The enemy will tell you, hey, you've got this. Look how strong you are.
Right.
Nothing stops you. You are bulletproof. Like, you're just a boss, and a boss would push through. A boss would keep going. A boss would do this. And that's the enemy's lie
Right.
to get us dependent on ourselves. And you can't be dependent on yourself and God.
Right.
You're dependent on yourself or God.
Right.
So you threw up your hands and told God you were over it. Did he
Right.
yeah, I know, or like, okay, or
Yeah.
what
It
did
was
he say?
actually really cool because, I heard God actually speak to me, which is always amazing when you hear the voice of God. And he said, you're right. And I thought, yes.
Thank you.
What are you going to do? You're going to bring fire from heaven and burn everything up. You're going to clear what's going to happen? And he was like, yes, you're right. Something does have to change. But then he said, that something is you. And I had to curl up my toes and let him get stomped on for a minute because I realized, of course, God is right. And that whether you have a lot on your plate or a little, if you're not in the right space, you'll be over it too.
I heard a really smart person once say, don't complain about your schedule because you said it.
Right.
I was like, dang it. Okay. Now I have to take responsibility for
myself.
my schedule.
Exactly.
So when God told you, you have to change, that's one of the things he got on me about was the schedule that I was setting. Did he tell you what you had to change, how you had to change?
Well, he told me, he said, I didn't create you to be over it. I created you to be an overcomer. And I realized that all the word that I know, because I know the word, you know the word, you know what you're supposed to do, but sometimes knowing it and living it are two totally different things. And he said, I created you to be an overcomer. And it kind of then squarely put the responsibility back on me to make the adjustments that I needed to make in that situation.
I believe you are called. I believe you are equipped. I believe you are graced. And I believe you are here right now on purpose because you're a little like, why don't I feel anymore? I just don't feel happy, but I don't feel sad. So is it my hormones? Maybe you're burnt out. Maybe you're over it. And maybe this is God just coming down from heaven in his grace and his mercy saying, hey, I just want to get your attention for a minute. Because before you get all the way over it, I want to get into you. Because God says that we are an overcomer by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. What if God says to you right now, it's your shot? Are you ready to take it? Take a look at your life right now. Do you like where you're going? Are the people in your life helping you get to where you want to be? Have you ever heard two people talking at a lunch table and wished you could pull up a chair and just learn? This is your opportunity. Show me your friends, and I'll show you your future. Studies have shown that you are the sum of the people that you hang out with. I mean, we all need people in our lives coaching us, teaching us, mentoring us, cheering us on, and making us into better people. And that is why I created the Circle of Friends. It's a chance for us to connect and increase the level that we live on. Here's what you get when you go to NicoleCrank.com/circle and become a partner. Every month, we'll have live coaching sessions, workshops with Zoom calls between us where you get to ask questions, engage, learn. Or I'll bring on a guest influencer like Joel Osteen, Christine Kane, Mike Todd, Sarah Jakes Roberts. They'll share some of the most valuable lessons they've learned, just like you were sitting at that table. We've got a Best of Nicole library with a bunch of teachings, and best of all, you're not just a friend, you're a partner baked in daily prayer, getting weekly emails, and your monthly contribution is a seed that helps us be on TV and provide books to prisons, recovery homes, and people who need them. If you're ready to get in a group of friends who will help you be all that God made you to be, and be a difference to others at the same time, this is it. The first month is only 99 cents. For less than the cost of buying bubblegum, you can change the course of your life. Just go to NicoleCrank.com/circle and become a member today. Trust me, you'll be so glad you did. I can talk to you about being overwhelmed from a personal experience. So if you feel like I'm pointing any fingers at you, just remember there's like 4 fingers and a thumb pointed back at me. Well, I guess that'd be like 8 fingers. I don't know. Thumbs. I can't even count right now. Maybe just a little bit overwhelmed. You see, there's a couple angles about being overwhelmed. And one of the angles you're not really gonna wanna hear about, but it's really hard to fix if I don't tell you. And if I don't tell you, who's gonna tell you? So since I'm far enough away from you that you can't smack me, I'm gonna go ahead and just be honest with you and say that sometimes we get overwhelmed because we get in pride a little bit. I mean, let's just be honest. Nobody can do it as good as we can do it. Okay, friend, if we want to multiply, we cannot multiply as 1 because 1 times 1 equals 1. So at the end of the day, it's still just us and more that we want to accomplish. Mark 4:18 and 19 in the Message translation says, "The seeds cast into the weeds represents the ones who've heard the kingdom news." Okay, that's me and you, right? We've heard the good news of the gospel. You heard that Liz today and then I today, we feel the same way. You heard there's a way out. You heard that we're better. I mean, surely that's gonna happen to you, right? The seeds that are cast into the weeds, they've heard the kingdom news, but they are overwhelmed, it says, with all the things they have to do and all the things they have to get. If you're not sitting down and watching this right now, if you're like multitasking, putting on your makeup and watching, you're driving and listening, if you're cooking dinner and watching, this might be God's way of getting to you. Remember, all these fingers are pointing back at me because I like to think I'm a great multitasker, except for most people, when they multitask, lose 70% of their brain capacity on both tasks. So we don't do it as well. I know I'm calling you out, but I'm calling me out too. So please listen, because my people perish for a lack of knowledge. The seeds that are thrown into the weeds, they're the ones who've heard the kingdom news, but are overcome with worry, overwhelmed with worry about all the things they have to do and all the things they want to get. How do we get out of this mess? They said the weeds come up and they strangle the word out of them. If your chest feels a little tighter, if your blood pressure goes up just a little bit, if you're finding you're popping off angry at things that didn't used to make you feel angry, if you're restless and you have trouble sleeping, I gotta take this stuff to make me sleep, but then you're tired in the day, you gotta take this stuff to make me wake up. I turn my hormones off, or is my thyroid off? You might be overwhelmed. We gotta have help, friends. Your kids aren't gonna sweep the floor as good as you, but hey, at least it's not as dirty as it used to be. Your cube mate at work is not gonna do the spreadsheet as good at you, but hey, at least the spreadsheet got done. Your husband is not gonna cook the meal as good as you, but at least everybody got fed. What things can you offload that maybe if somebody does it 70% as good as you or 80% as good as you, it gives you a little room to breathe. You feel the strangling of the stress, start to release. And instead of nothing coming of it, God can work with it because you're trusting Him, you're taking Him at His word, and you're trusting His process. If you've looked around and all is lost, and you don't know what to do, and you don't know how to do it, Jesus is there for you. And you might be, I've heard of Jesus, but is he real? No, you've come too late to tell me that he isn't. I've watched him work miracles. I've watched him save the sick. I've watched dying people live. I've watched crazy things like tumors disappear. You've had it happen to you. You knew the police were supposed to pull you over and then they didn't, or they got a call and you were like, what just happened? My guardian angel, or, the karma. No, it's not karma, it's God. And he's looking out for you. Liz is gonna pray for you in a minute. But before she does, I've got so many friends. One of my favorite responses is people write letters. These are paper letters that I get because these folks don't have access to computers. I love it when people DM me on Instagram, or they, write on the website to NicoleCrank.com/let's talk, or they send me a letter. But my favorite ones, y'all, the letters that come from prison. And it's cool, like, oh, well, they have time to write, right? Well, of course, those are your favorite letters. When we open the letters, there's $5 in them. $5 is an amazing gift, but $5 from somebody in prison? Knowing that this show, that the honesty, that the Word of God is bringing folks in prison so much value moves me to no end. And you might be thinking, well, I'm not in prison, I've never committed a crime, or at least you didn't get caught. All of us are in some kind of prison. We're in the dark, we're locked in. And you might be locked into that busy life. You might be addicted to that success. You might be locked into, maybe Adderall is helping you through the day. I don't know why God caused me to say that, but it just got your attention. That's what you're helping us break. And here's the crazy thing about Christian television is most people get paid to be on TV, but if you do this kind of TV, you have to pay to be on. And the only reason we're on is because of you. So if this programming is helping you today, I want to say thank you, and I want to ask you to do one of two things. One, go to NicoleCrank.com/donate and help us reach more people. We just went on 2 new markets, and it's because we have people like you helping us. And then the other people we have helping us is our circle of friends. NicoleCrank.com/circle. It's a high value partnership. I'm going to email you every week. We're going to do Zoom calls together. I'm going to have you on with some Zoom calls with some of my friends, like Sarah Jakes Roberts has been on there, Joel Osteen has been on there, Mike Todd has been on there, Lisa Harper has been on there. You can get asked questions. You have access to all of these people. And when you do that, you help us reach more people. Liz, is there any way you would pray for everybody today?
Absolutely, it'd be my honor. God, I just thank you right now. I thank you for each and every person who's watching this today. God, I thank you for those that are feeling just over it. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're feeling overworked and underappreciated. And God, I pray that right now that your presence would come and fill the place where they're at. Rest upon them. Allow them to pause for a minute and speak to them, speak to their hearts, so that you can speak those words that they are an overcomer. Help them to recognize the things in them that they need to change and shift, to go from being over it to overcoming in their life. Bless them today, God. Give them peace, bring them joy and a renewed love in your presence. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Because you are going from over it to overcoming.
It's every ball.
I can do in 5 minutes what we can do in a lifetime. God can do in 5 minutes what we can do in a lifetime.